Nerd on the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
I lost it, and I ended the stream. I was like, all right.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Nerd On Podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. Yes, even you. For over 30 years, there has been a hero of time that explored the many planes of Hyrule, and behind the scenes, there has been a Julie. Today, we aim to change that last part and deep dive into the franchise that changed the landscape of action-adventure games with this RS episode of The Legend of Zelda.
Zelda.
RS or RS?
RS. Or did I say RS?
My ass.
Did.
First time ever.
Our ass.
Our ass. Okay.
Oh, Lord. So anyway, let's get to it with this embarrassment that I have with me. We'll introduce your host first. We're going to start off with me. Hi, I'm Caitlin.
I'm Tom.
I'm Corey.
And I am Josh, and we are joined by...
Julie! Hi, it's me!
It's Julie.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks. Like you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes.
What else?
That nobody else hears.
What else?
And you get discounts on merch.
Tell me one more thing about this.
And
OnlyFans.
you get access to secret channels on our Discord server that only you have access to. And you get to talk
my
to
God.
other members of the Nerd On Nation. So do consider joining.
Josh, where do I sign up for this?
You can go to
Josh, where?
nerdon.tv/Patreon. And
Wow.
look at that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. Do consider joining the Nerd On Nation because it does allow us to grow, to get better, to make higher and better, faster, stronger content for you.
Yeah.
And a huge shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee have equipped us with these hype mics, the ultimate podcasting microphone that I cannot recommend enough for anybody that wants to start podcasting.
Would you say it's a hype quality microphone?
Yeah. Hype mic. But yeah, so
Okay.
check out the Hype mic. They actually, they have a whole line of products, not just the Hype mic that I truly suggest. So check out Apogee and check out Odyssey headphones. We are equipped with the LCD ones, and Julie is equipped with the Mobius. Their 7.1 3D audio mega headset that is also
They are
incredibly awesome
amazing.
for gaming.
Yes, they are incredible. I've been having a lot of fun. I'm hearing things like I've never heard them before.
But yeah, so check that
It's a
out.
religious experience.
Yeah, actually, it's great because now I can freak myself out in games even more. Caitlin knows.
Oh,
When
yeah.
we play Overwatch, I'm always like, oh, I hear somebody on the left. Oh, there's somebody upstairs. And now it's like just even more.
I just
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
someone
It's like
vent.
such an amazing advantage.
It actually is, though.
Who's our other guest on the episode today?
This is Bingham. He's one of 3 cats that I have. He's going to be 21 years old in March.
Oh.
He's just an
Soul
old
man.
old man with
Old
very
baby.
needy needs. So
Needy,
he's probably
needy,
going to
Well, I'm
be
glad he's here for the episode as
The
well.
whole
I like those
time.
watching on YouTube. You'll know what we're talking about.
I like the
It'll make your
fan
day.
theory that he's the original Link and he teaches you the cool new sword techniques.
Did you just make up a backstory? Is that
For
what's going
Bingham?
on?
That's the internet.
Oh, okay,
Bingham is
got it.
the
We'll
original Link.
we'll talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, before we get into the marquee topic of this RS type episode,
Our ass.
RS episode,
It'll never go away now.
we at Nerd On, we have a tradition of sharing how our tree of nerddom sprouted. Julie, outside of
Yes.
Zelda, what were the roots of your adventure into pop culture and fandom?
I mean, really, it was video games as a whole. I grew up with video games. We had a Sega Genesis. We had my brother and I both had Game Boys. Although we had to share games and he didn't let me
Oh, yeah.
have most of them. I was allowed to
sounds
play
right.
the ones he didn't like.
Is this
Yep.
older or younger? I'm
Um,
sorry.
What's that?
Older, younger brother?
Older brother. I'm the youngest.
course
That's
older.
I was gonna say that's some older brother energy right there.
That's
When we used to
100%
have
older
a-
brother energy.
We used to have a Super Nintendo with the Aladdin game, and if you ever played that, a Boo follows you around. And I
Yes.
used to hand an unplugged controller to my sister and tell her she was
That
playing
was
a Boo.
my brother with Sonic on the Sega Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even it got to a point where even he wouldn't let me hold a controller. Excuse me. And so I would just sit there and watch him. But even just watching him was enough to be interfering with him, I guess. There were times where if he made a mistake
no.
on a bonus level or something, he'd be like, "You made me mess up," you know. And then
That's some projection right there.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, you know, brothers.
It's called stage fright. That's what it's really called.
That's
really
real.
called.
That's real, though. And actually, a little bit of fun history tidbit. I actually had growing up an NES demo console. I believe it's the M8 is what it's called.
Googling this
I didn't
now.
know it was different from any Nintendo growing up, you know, because we're all talking about the same games as kids. But
There
then when
weren't that
people
many.
were describing, yeah, exactly. And people were describing their systems. I was like, well, I guess it's a gray rectangle, but mine is like really big.
Whoa.
Did you just look it up, Corey?
Well, no. We're just
Yeah.
going over but also thinking about you were unintentionally.
Yeah, I
hipster.
looked it up. That's 100% what I looked up.
Julie is always unintentionally hipster.
Yeah, and then so it had
It's like a gun select. I mean,
yeah,
a game
it has
select thing.
it has like I think it's like 16 preloaded games there. You just push a button for which one you want. And it has
Whoa.
the light gun and the controllers, and it was great. And unfortunately, I had no idea what it was growing up. And by the time I realized what it was, my dad had already sold it.
Oh no.
So very sad.
No.
Yeah.
That was my whole introduction to like things that everybody talks about and things that everybody loves was just playing games on my M8 and watching my brother play the Sega Genesis and playing the unwanted games on the Game Boy.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome.
So how did Zelda get into the mix?
Actually, through an unwanted game.
Oh.
My brother did not like Link's Awakening on the Game Boy.
Oh.
And so it got kicked down to me. And I just completely fell in love with that. It was my first Zelda game. I had no idea what Zelda was at all. I didn't know it was a series. And I just that was the first game that I beat entirely by myself. It took me forever, but it was it was so magical, you know? And of course, at the end, which I'm not going to say what it is because I'm sure there's people that still haven't played it, and I highly recommend you do. It's really good. They have the remake on Switch now. I cried like a little baby because I was like maybe 6 years old. And
Because
yeah,
you
and
were
then just there was a large portion of sadness too in my life because it was an unwanted game.
Mm.
There was a games shop on the corner where we used to live when I was growing up. And so my brother was regularly going there and trading games and stuff like that. And he would always try to be nice and be like, okay, these are the ones that I want to take in. If there's any you want to keep, like, let me know which ones and I won't trade them in. And I think what happened is he found out because I saw Link's Awakening was on the table there. I was like, no, don't give this one away. And I think what happened is he found out it was valuable, so he traded it in.
Oh.
Because suddenly it was gone. I couldn't find it anywhere. And
Wait, have
he
you guys
didn't
never
remember.
talked about it since? Has
At this
been
point, he probably doesn't remember. And at the time, he was just like, I don't know what happened to it. So
family mystery. The case of the missing game.
Oh my God.
But I did have somebody when I was in high school at one of the first conventions. I don't know if it was the first time. I don't think it was the first time I went. But within the first few times that I had gone to when WonderCon was here, someone found at a vendor and they bought me a new copy, which I was kind of mad about it because it's expensive because it's like pristine in the box with everything.
Damn.
But it was very nice of them.
Oh.
So don't worry, I have it back in my life.
I was like, whoa, that's like a tragic tale of like finally finding your like nerddom and then having it stripped away from you.
Yeah, I was really upset. And then I had kind of like a blowaway moment when I was shopping with my friend at the Toys R Us back when that was a thing. And then I saw
What's it?
All right.
I saw the word Zelda and I was like, wait a second, like, but that's not the game that I played. I was like, there's more, and just like like mind blown. It was like a whole new world. So yeah, and then I just spiraled deep down into the entire series,
which
and
we
here I
will
am.
get into. Now this is not your first rodeo with Nerd On. For those paying attention, you'll recognize the name from shout-outs on different episodes and stuff like that. Because you started first writing with us, and then moved to editing our episodes on YouTube and stuff like that. How did Caitlin trick you into joining us?
Come on now.
Caitlin and I met through really strange coincidence. I started working for a t-shirt company that sold shirts at conventions. And then through them, made friends with one of the people that we sold t-shirts for. And Caitlin was living with them at the time. So then, we'd all go out to dinner and stuff like that. And then from there, it was just like started playing games together. And then from there, Caitlin and I just have been traipsing along this road of friendship. And it's been wonderful.
It's been pretty all right. Not gonna lie.
And then she sucked
Just
you
all
in.
right, Caitlin. You called me your wife the other day.
Yeah, Julie's my wife, basically.
So we
Julia's my wife.
we have our ass and your wife in this episode.
Yeah. Our Nerd-On's ass, and this is my wife.
So I just want to keep it clear.
Got
Just want to, for the Nerd On bingo for anyone playing.
For those playing the home game.
We have a whole chimera of Nerd On here.
Please tell me Nerd On
exactly.
Bingo is a thing.
Well,
Not yet.
Well, we're very grateful to have you.
yes.
With
Yeah.
us.
I'm very grateful to be here. I always have fun chit-chatting with you guys and listening to you guys talk about stuff.
So, and you've listened to a lot of us because you've had to.
Yeah, she's had to. She's had to listen to a lot of that.
Or
Me
Had to.
screaming.
We were
in
talking about it in the
Resident
digital green room. There were for the pull back the curtain here. There's a lot of in the middle of episodes. Just sorry, Julie. Sorry. Or like we'll leave the
Yeah.
camera rolling for an extra 4 minutes, and we'll be like, "Oh, sorry."
Sorry.
It is what it is.
Well, I mean, on that, I think let's get into Zelda. Zelda
Zelda our ass.
I thought maybe
Zelda our ass.
why don't we kind of in the spirit of our main episodes of kind of like initial reactions, why don't we start with our first experiences? And I'll go ahead and start. I will start.
pop that cherry, baby.
For me personally, I don't have a lot of experience with Zelda, actually.
Boogor.
So as always, nerd. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
No, because I'll explain why. So growing up, when it came to consoles, I had Nintendo and I had Super Nintendo. And then after that, the only other Nintendo console that I had was Switch. And so I didn't get to experience anything that was on the 64, anything that was on GameCube, Wii. It's all over my head and I have no idea. So
He was a Final Fantasy.
Huh?
That's why. You were a Final Fantasy.
I was a Final Fantasy kid. But like my early experiences was like I have the Legend of Zelda on Nintendo and then the Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past. And I remember on the Nintendo version it was a gold cartridge.
Box.
It was a gold cartridge.
The
Like
64. Oh,
like-
no.
like flashy gold, like chrome
Like
gold.
brilliant
Like
gold.
it was
Yep.
like it was shiny and
Beautiful.
amazing. And
Like there was a black market for this.
and then I realized
have
that I
a-
lied. I realized that I just lied because I had a Nintendo 3DS. That I
you
stole from.
clever.
I
Oh,
may or
were
may
you?
Oh my
not.
God, Josh.
I
You
may
probably played
not.
the one where you blow into the mic.
Yeah, I may or may not have stolen it from my little brother.
Ooh.
I borrowed it.
Big
There's a
Brother
lot of
Strikes
truth
Again.
about brothers
Yeah.
stuff
I
coming
know.
out today.
I may or may not have borrowed it for an extensive period of time. And on there, I remember because you were just talking about Link's Awakening, and I only realized that I had put a lot of time into that game when the remastered version came out last year on Switch.
Yes.
And I did have a Switch for a short time. And I was playing this and I was like, damn, this is really oh. And I looked it up and I was like, oh.
It's the same shit.
It's the same game. Go this guy. I know things. But I remember the original Zeldas, like on Nintendo and Super Nintendo. I put a lot of like those. It was Super Mario and that gold cartridge Zelda that I probably wore out my original Nintendo, like just switching between those.
I doubt it.
Those
things were made for nuclear war.
Oh my God.
This is true. This is very true.
I saw a dude literally take his cartridge and throw it out into the snow in the winter and then like freeze it and then take it back out, tried it off, and it still worked. I was like, what is this?
Oh my God.
But yeah, so I don't have extensive experience except for those ones. So I'm
That's
uncultured.
okay. Some
it's
people
cool.
would argue those are the best ones. So
So I have
I
the
think
right
some people-
experience.
I'm gonna go next because I'm not some people. I think I am like
Wow.
the Karen, the basic bitch version of like.
Is it Tom so cool?
So cool.
Because like I like the games that people don't like apparently.
Oh, okay.
well, I'm ready to hear what Tom thinks is the basic bitch Zelda.
Well, I know. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back in time. But also, okay, I was
Listen,
a little
Linda.
bro.
Linda,
I
listen.
was a little bro, and me and my older sister, when we talked about video games, we kind of did like this, like a co-op where it was like, look, we got the console, we have to share. Mom and dad are only going to buy us one game. So how about I buy this one, then you get that one. Then I get this one, then you get that one. But we both play all of them together.
Yep.
Because we were like, we're going to game the system. And so that's how we did. But
Why
so
not?
the first Legend of Zelda that I ever got introduced to, I didn't even get a full introduction to. It's kind of like, hey, you see that, that hot person over there? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And they're like, don't even worry about it. I'm like, oh, okay. And it was Legend of Zelda. I forget the name of
on.
the game, but it's the red artwork and it's Ages. It's
Yes.
the Game
Well,
Boy.
red is Seasons, blue
Seasons.
is Ages.
Blue is Ages. So is it Legend of Zelda Ages or Legend of Zelda?
Coming in clutch. Look at that.
What is it called? What is it called? fully.
Oracle of Seasons is the red
Oracle
one,
Seasons.
and Oracle of Ages
Oracle
is the
of
blue
Ages.
one.
So that's what it is. See now, like I saw my friends.
She's
playing
got
it,
all
I'm
the
like,
props ready. She's like, oh, you mean
She's
this
like,
one?
I know what's up.
I
That-
literally
that
was like,
just
okay,
blew
like
my
which
mind
things
right
do I
there.
want to show off?
No.
And I like went around. I have
Oh.
way too many things, so I had to be very selective. Okay,
What's
so,
that thing he plays on that has the time? Is it a flute or is it a ocarina?
She has one. Of course she has one.
This
Yeah,
is
that-
my. Well, I
I'm-
have several, but this is my most legit one.
I'm
my
dropping
God.
them down, and you got to pick them up. But no, so I saw that game, and I was like, that looks cool. I want. And I never played a game. And then the first actual Legend of Zelda game that I actually played to myself, and I was like, cool, was a friend let me borrow Twilight Princess.
Oh yes.
And I had friends who
"Oh, baby."
played Oracle or Ocarina of Time, and they played Master Quest, and then they were like, "Oh, I'm just gonna play it," and then I would just watch. Whoa!
Oh my God.
that's dope.
Wow.
Y'all don't. Everyone listening, y'all don't remember the
YouTube.
game of skins on your.
Who
console.
are you?
They're gonna one day. She's
you
gonna
guys
have a
have
museum.
no idea what you've done inviting me to the Zelda episode.
Yes.
That's good.
I know
It sounds
exactly
like
what
we
I did.
made the perfect choice. if
You're
you
my
ask
wife.
me.
I know what I signed up for.
But so Twilight Princess was the first game I actually got to play, and I was like, I really like this game. And I know, like, I guess current consensus is like it's not bad, but it's also not good. Then I'm like, but okay. I really like the water temple fight because it was like actual 3D fighting. You're going up and down,
Yes.
forward and back. And I was like, holy poopy, right? And then also like, yo,
What was it
forget
like?
Navi. I was like, I'm all about this midnight life.
Holy
you know
poopy?
what I'm saying? Holy poopy. I'm trying to for the kids. You know what I'm saying? For the kids.
Zelda our
kids.
ass. I get it, man.
Zelda
Hey.
our ass, our poopies. And then also like the mask, and she became this like eldritch horror thing. I'm like,
Oh
This
yeah,
is what's
dude, that
up.
part is great.
yeah. And then also at the very end, you're like, oh, I got this god arrow thing. I'm like, I'm cool with. I like all this. And then I, apparently like, well, do the original ones? And then I went backwards in time, and then I started playing. Okay, let me play Ocarina of Time. Okay, let me play the original Legend of Zelda, and I play it on Switch, which is fun because you can play it on like whatever God mode it is, and you just have all the items, and you're like, it's just so you can walk through and have like a little nostalgia trip. But I also played. So I played Legend of Twilight Princess on both GameCube and Wii because they flipped them.
Same.
So that they can have the Wii remote. I called it a Wiimote. I don't know anyone else, but the Wiimote, so that it's in right hand because most people were right-handed. And then I remember people got pissy.
I actually think you call it that because that's the official title of it.
Okay.
It's a Wiimote.
For the uninitiated, Link is always left-handed.
Yeah.
So they didn't change it just so that Link is right-handed to match with the Wiimote. They literally just
flipped the world.
Flipped the whole game. So it's very disorienting if you play both.
So I played the GameCube one first, and then I was like, okay, cool, this is where I go. And then I played the Wii one. I was like, no. This is
it's
over
like, okay,
here.
I remember gotta go like next door in the temple is left. Nope, that's the wrong way. I don't know where I am.
I just remember waking
up,
jumping off that treehouse, and I'm like, I gotta go right to the city. It's like, nope, you gotta go left. You're like, no, I hate this.
Same thing.
So
Same thing.
I play, and then I remember when I was in college, and then Skyward Sword's coming out. Everyone was like, oh my god, you got the golden Wiimote and all that stuff. I was like, oh, and then. Is that it?
Oh my god, you have it. Of course, she has it.
Wiimote.
There it is.
And then I just never got into it. I was just like, I'll get it later. And there was no desire for me to play it. And then this is where I'm going to go into it. Breath of the Wild changed the game for me because I had a very hard time understanding what was going on. It was just so not like a 3D Zelda game. It was much more like the original Zelda games. And I had to really kind of understand it. And that's when I started really being like, what is this all about? And then I started learning about like the different timelines, Majoras and all that stuff. So I won't say I'm near qualified of being, a PhD master's degree like Julie is, but I'm like, I've dabbled. I got my bachelor's degree in it. I get it. I've studied. So
you've definitely experienced enough.
I know a Zelda.
Yeah, I think this episode is going to be more fun if we just start naming things and seeing if Julie has them.
Like a great deity mask.
No, I don't have one, unfortunately.
I'll go next.
I did have a papercraft model that I built of Fierce Deity Link, but he got crushed, so I didn't throw him away.
Oh,
so sexy. Caitlin, Corey,
Corey.
I'll go. Yeah. So the first one I ever played. It's also a golden cartridge for me. It was the Nintendo 64 Ocarina of Time, which I loved, like to no end. I bought an ocarina multiple times in my life because of it. I've lost them, found them, bought more. We used to sell them at a music store I worked with, and in the system, we had to print out little price tag labels on it, and in the system, you had to look it up as ocarina, and then in quotes it said of time. And I did that. And I think it's still in the system as that now, nice. Which is a lot of fun. And I watched my friend play Wind Waker. I watched him get stuck in... Well, I'll say this. I watched him play the water temple part of Wind Waker, which understandably didn't sell me on the game.
Yes. Yes, I can see that.
So I haven't had a lot of experience with Zelda myself, but I love the music. My roommate Kyle, shout out KP Robbins. He's done a few streams with us, and if you all are on the Discord, he's there.
And he's a smart boy.
He's a master of physics. He got me heavily into the music after talking about him going to see Wind Waker live at the Hollywood Bowl performed by the LA Symphony. Yeah, me too. Because I think
Corey, pull out your symphony book.
I have several CDs, but they're scattered all over the place. So.
I think the brains behind the soundtrack for these games are masterworks, and
Koji Kondo.
I can think of only a few other video game themes as catchy or memorable as the Zelda theme song. And so I'm sold. And Kyle ended up giving me a CD of the Wind Waker soundtrack, and I to this day love it on drives and stuff like that. So I didn't have the same experience Tom had with Breath of the Wild. We'll go into that a little later.
He pulled a Julie and snapped his headphones in half.
He has a story he likes to share about that. But that's my Zelda.
It's actually on our
I am,
Twitch somewhere.
Yeah.
I am not of the initiated when it comes to Zelda.
He went to Zelda High School.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will play. I still have my Ocarina of Time somewhere, but I will play that over and over again for the rest of my life. I have no problem with that. I think that is a wonderful game.
So good.
Caterin.
So growing up for me, Legend of Zelda, the various games was always a social experience for me. For whatever reason, it wasn't a game that we had in our household, but we would always go over to friends' houses and they always had the Zelda games. So I always got stuck running away from skeletons at night. I think they even gave me a name to make me feel better about it because it was like my older sister, our neighbor, who like didn't want to do it. And they're like, oh, you're the queen of the field. And I'm like, I don't want to be the queen of the field. I want to play the fun parts. I don't want to run away from skeletons. This is not fun. Why?
Caitlin R.S., Boobs McBallrog, Queen of the Fields, first of her name.
I know. I have so many names. It's dumb. But yeah, so like Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, because like my first roommate and I would like sit and she would play Twilight Princess and we would like kind of go back and forth a little bit. But that was like, I feel like Legend of Zelda has always come in at some like prime time of my life. Like as a kid when I was like, that embodies like playing with the neighborhood kids and like getting to go over to a friend's house. And then it was in college and having my first roommate.
You can go to your
And
friend's
then
house.
when I moved out here, my roommates, before the place I'm living at now, like they played a lot of Breath of the Wild. And it was like a whole thing of everyone sitting on the couch. We would like make dumb jokes about whatever is happening in the game. Because there was like a temple that was called Reed-He. And I don't know why. We thought that was the funniest thing ever.
It was in probably Breath of the Wild, right?
Oh, it was Breath of the Wild.
Okay, it was
yeah.
probably one of the like
The shrines.
The shrines.
Yeah, it was one of the shrines.
They had some wild.
But it has this like goofy but seriousness to it, and the music's good, and like every game is just a little bit different. It's they're all fun. I personally haven't gotten through a Legend of Zelda game by myself because it has been a social thing every time I've played. But I like it like that. So that's it for me.
I get that.
Do I tell the Breath of the Wild story now?
Whenever.
I would
Sure,
love to hear
I
it.
found the clip. I'll upload it to our social media the week
Oh,
this
please
comes
do.
out.
Oh my God.
I don't keep my cool. I'll put it that way.
So
Okay.
I forget what game I was playing, or maybe I wasn't even playing my Switch and just let him borrow the whole thing.
You did. You let me borrow your entire.
I let you borrow the whole
Switch
thing
console.
because I think I wasn't playing it at the time. I was just like so busy with everything. And then so Corey was streaming Breath of the Wild, and I had not had anything other than like like it's how good it is. Like it was like the coming of Christ. That's how good it was. Like that's
Everybody was
how
like
much
that,
I heard
Tom.
about this game.
Everybody.
Everyone, yeah.
Yo, it was wild how many good things I heard about it. And everyone's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. And then to me, like, I remember like the first Nintendo reveal and like it was kind of pretty different than what we got. But like it was just like, you know, he's not wearing the green tunic, he's jumping in the air, he's shooting this like energy arrow, and it's like, what does this all mean? He could jump off of horse. It's like, you know, and then I was just like, I don't know, man. He doesn't have a hat. That's my thing. He doesn't have a hat.
Where's the hat? Is this even a game?
And then like
Is
so
this
when the
even
game
real
came
life?
out, I heard nothing but great and wonderful things, right? But how long it was. And then Corey played it, and he streamed it, and he just did not enjoy because of game mechanics. And then so I had played the Dark Souls and Bloodborne games, and so I was like ready for that, but I wasn't ready for it in my Nintendo. And so
Right.
when I started playing Breath of the Wild, I was like, what the heck do I do? Where do I go? There's no little annoying thing telling me what to do. And so, because, like, you know, when you get to a Zelda, you're like, oh, like, you have, you know, someone telling you where to go and what to do and blah, blah. You can't go to this place until you get this thing. Da, 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 da. Nothing in this game that I felt like it just beats you up for going to a place. Like Breath of the Wild, I felt like beat you up. You're like, no, you're not ready. Like, but how do I get ready? What do I do? And it's like, what does my thing break? Where do I get more? Why does the thing go out when I'm walking? It's a fire. If fire in a video game is supposed to be on forever.
The moment that broke me was you have to carry this torch from
Yes.
a very long distance. You can't run, and it's a very long distance. And I get I'm complaining in the clip. I'm complaining how long I have to, and I can't run with it. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I get almost all the way there, and the torch gets blown out, and I lost it. And I ended the stream. I was like, all right, well,
That is the definition
done.
of rage quit.
Yeah.
it was. And I apologize for it. The breaking weapons is what I always talk about with Tom. I'm just like, I can't do it, man.
I think I was on a similar quest, and I was like having to light up these things for Hanena, whatever, the lab dude. And one of my friends who would beat the game, he's like, Tom, you're an idiot. I'm like, oh, on stream. I was like, oh. And he's like, shoot the wood arrow through the fire.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yep.
oh, my bad. Oh, my bad. I didn't know that. And then like, I was like, oh, you could do it. Oh. And then it's like, how about you use something not a torch, maybe a club? I'm like, oh, my bad. It was that kind of stuff. I was like, oh. And so like, that's where like, oh, this game really does want you to try new things and blah, blah.
I want you
And
to do whatever you want.
But no, so now I get to say these things because I beat everything. I master quested it all. I killed the golden silver horse centaur dude who's an asshat to fight.
Lionels, yeah.
Yeah,
they're
Lionels are
rough.
the worst.
They're rough.
Yeah,
And like the
there
only
were
way to
a
kill him
lot.
is just use one of your like ancient arrows, which cost like 1,000 things. You're like, whatever. It automatically kills it, so it's fine. And it's like
I
that's
realized that I lied some more.
Oh my God, Josh.
I know. I
Josh,
played
you're off
Breath
the
of the
episode.
Wild too. I had the same experience as Corey did.
Oh,
I totally forgot
you rage
that
quit?
I rage quit that game. Like I was like,
Oh
it was,
no.
I'm a yeah.
Now I'm curious. What was your moment? What happened?
It was kind of
he cooked dubious food too many times.
yes. No, I think I just like it was so. I'm not saying that it's a bad game. That's what I'm gonna preface with. It's a very vast. It's a very grand game. It's much larger. It doesn't, and I think I'm a fan of telling me how to do things a little bit. Like I don't know. I just kind of lost.
I'm not
Your way.
I'm not going to
Fuel.
give you guff.
Yeah, you are.
The same.
You're
the same way
Tom.
my friends.
I'm
did.
Josh. You're going to give me guff.
Well, no. So all my friends were griefing me, and they were saying like, "What, Tom? You don't like an open world game where the rules are made by yourself?" And I was like, "Okay." And then I was like, "I just don't know what to do. I don't know what's important." He's like, "What, Tom? You don't like a game that gives you full agency to figure out what missions you want to do by yourself?" And I was like,
Wow.
"Okay." And then I was like,
Wow.
"But why do my weapons break?" He's like, "What, Tom? You don't like the having to make real time strategies of like how you're going to fight a thing versus just slashing away for no reason?" And I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
You're right. And so like that's
fine.
what,
All right.
that what like snapped me. Be like, I'm gonna make this game my bitch. And then so I was like, that's why like I did all the
In true
DLC
Tom
hero
fashion.
quests, and I was just like, I have to do it because like because like I got all that guff, and I was like, you're right. And then that's the thing. I didn't want to be defeated by it. I was like,
So you're not giving Josh the guff. You're passing on the guff that you received onto Josh
I
as a
have
lesson
secondhand
of
guff.
caution.
there is
Secondhand guff. There it is.
Recycled guff.
There's we all talked about it. There's a compulsion that I have that I have to beat a game, and like I don't want to put that
You've
on
been
anybody.
reguffed.
And it's
What
what'd
you
you say?
do?
I said you reguffed him.
I reguffed
You
it.
you reguffed him.
I reguffed it. All right, I'm done. Move on.
Yep. Anyway, Zelda.
So I'm curious of like, obviously, Julie, this game means a lot to you, or this whole
Gee,
series
what gave
really.
that away?
So what would you say is the driving force that makes you want to keep playing it now?
Just to be completely honest, the thing that keeps me in the fandom still is the people that I've met. I've met some incredibly amazing, wonderful people that I'm proud to call my friends, and just the creativity of the community with like art and just new ideas, stories. Just it's so wonderful. And so it kind of keeps everything fresh for me because it's fun to just talk about. Now they released the Hyrule Historia with like the official timeline and extrapolating on lore and stuff. But in a way, like the more things that they've kind of nailed down as concrete, the more discussions they've opened up about it. Because now people are talking about, okay, well, but then what about this scenario and what about this? And they still haven't mentioned this thing. Is that just something that they're trying to sweep under the rug, or is that like something like what's going on? You know, so there's just always something fun to talk about with people, and everybody that I know is just super nice and super cool about it. So yeah, for the most part, it's the people and just the sense of like the immediate understanding of we love this thing for the same reason. So like, of course, we're just gonna immediately feel at home with each other.
Yeah.
You know?
Sorry.
I also think I can't think of another game franchise that blends adventure and puzzle as well as
Yeah. for
Zelda
sure.
does. It's like effortlessly. Like there's a lot of games where it'll be like it zooms out and you're like, oh, I have to figure out this puzzle now. But it's pretty much ingrained into the, you know what I mean? Like into every story. You almost don't know you're doing the puzzles at those moments.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like right to be doing in the world. It's a really good world building.
I'm gonna invoke the porcelain or the god that
The porcelain god.
the porcelain god
The porcelain god?
I pay homage to all the time, or I pay tribute to, which is Aaron Eagle Raptor, who I don't know if you saw, Julie, but like he did like a sequelitis thing about Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like that really made me like, I love those videos that he's done because he really kind of critically looks at it. And he, I try to think he does what I do, is like try not to take away from him, but it's like, hey, let's try to look at this very critically. And to Corey's point of like, there is a sense of the original games of like that happens in Breath of the Wild of like, you're actively attacking and also looking at the world around you and then also figuring out like, what can I use to my advantage? But also this might be a puzzle at the same time.
Right.
Where like
yes.
the dawn of the 3D games where they had the Z targeting and all that stuff, it was like there was this kind of, quote unquote ludonarrative dissonance of like combat versus puzzles versus exploring were very segmented. And
Right,
so
right.
like I think it's very interesting to that point of like, now you can kind of just look back at a full holistic view of like the eras of Zelda. And thinking of like how the chronology plays, but it's kind of like Star Wars, where it's like, here's the original 3, but then here's the prequel that's technically before it, but has newer graphics and better fight choreography, and then here's the later ones that have just like really, really good thing, So it's like it's very interesting to go about that, where it's like Skyward Sword is technically still like the first in the canon, right?
Yes.
Because
For
like
now, yes.
I know that there's like
For
different
now.
branches.
Yeah, for now.
For now. So it's very interesting in that sense.
Yeah.
Can I ask if anyone has like maybe like a particular moment amongst all the games that like has always stuck with you as like a the ultimate Zelda experience you've had, or like just a moment that stuck out with you story wise or whatever it is? Does anyone have anything that sticks out?
Okay,
in
I got
particular?
two. One
Yeah.
ultimate moment I felt was when I was like, oh man, the Twilight Princess, and then Midna goes into the Twilight Realm and the mirror breaks. Spoilers. And you're like,
I was about to say, Tommy,
spoilers.
just
And-
giving away the whole end of the game.
Well, I'm going to say like this, because like to me, and as I think of a young boy growing up, I always thought like, oh, Link is going to marry the princess of Zelda, and then this one was like, oh, but this is the
But
main.
this
Bay.
other girl, though.
But this is the
What
main
if
bay
he-
now.
What if he did not?
This is this is the new dating sim harem right here. But like, and then that moment, I like, I feel it. I felt like, oh my gosh, like this is how life,
Zelda who?
love, and loss, and all that stuff. And then in Breath of the Wild was like getting I didn't get all the seeds because I'm not. But I did
No.
beat all the temples, all the challenges, everything. And I just felt like fully powered person. I was like, I'm going to slap Ganon so hard that he will not see what's happening. And I just utterly demolished him, which is like, I like that feeling because it's like, I went through so much
Yeah.
to get to this
It's
point.
definitely very gratifying when you're like, yes, I'm powerful. Especially Breath of the Wild, when you literally just get flung out into the world with your boxer shorts and nothing else.
And,
So-
and you can play the game with
Yeah.
nothing else and just go straight to beat Ganon.
Yeah,
and,
there are runs of people
Die.
just like, all right, we're going straight to Ganon's castle
and
right
you
now.
beat him with a stick. And it's like ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And I'm just like, so to me,
Oh my
I think
God.
there's probably a better feeling
Just-
for them because they're just like, I'm so smart at games that I
Just the visual of like someone going "Help!" and like landing in their boxers and then being like looking around really quick and then like running full
Yep.
sprint,
Yep.
grabbing
Who's
a
the biggest
stick
bitch
as they
out
go,
here?
and like leaping up and into the castle, like
Grabbing as many
"Bah!"
sticks
Gideon's
as
like,
they
what
can.
The fuck?
Actually, he wakes up from a pool in a hibernation.
I'm sorry.
I'm kidding.
I have one myself too. From Ocarina, like kind of emotionally scarred me, but in a storyteller wise, like it was really great. And it was I mean, we're in a little bit of spoiler country.
There's some spoilers right now.
We're definitely going to be in spoiler zone. So.
Yeah.
But it's the death of the Deku Tree. Like in Ocarina of
Yes.
Time, like that hurt me. And it made me really mad. Like
He's like,
I was like,
no.
yeah.
Because
Oh.
like in the story sense, it's basically like Link's father figure, and you go
Oh,
inside
no,
to
Corey.
free him from the curse, but then
Oh, it's a
but
dad
it's,
thing.
It's
a dad
too late.
thing.
you,
a Corey
you
thing.
succeed. You technically succeeded, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's so painful.
And you're just sitting there like, but I did.
but I did the
But
thing.
I
then he
did
says,
everything.
Link, you don't need a Triforce for me to love you. And then Corey just
Golly.
weeps.
But like that really has like always stuck with me, and I can still envision it. I mean, like I'm sure I'm remembering the graphics a lot better than they actually look, but I remember him like he had that like life force going through him, and then it just like stops and he turns all
Yep.
dark, and you're just like,
Yeah, he
and he
just
says
goes
like I
completely
gotta
gray.
leave you or something like that. And it just
Yeah.
it
It's a
hurt.
dad
It's-
thing.
I have another moment.
Now that I realize it's like a dad thing, it makes a lot of sense.
Hearing Zelda's voice in Breath of the Wild is wild. Because
Oh yeah.
we haven't heard it, right?
Well, just in
Well, we've heard
general,
that-
there's
Yeah!
never been
Dialogue.
like real
Like that-
voice acting.
Yeah.
Like there's, people make like like
And
yeah, like alert sounds like but no talking. So
Yeah.
that was the first time there was ever like talking.
And so I was like,
Real
well, and
dialogue
I
back and
remember saying
forth.
it in the stream, I was like, yo, Netflix, make an anime of this, yo.
That's all I thought Link could say for a long time, was just
Yeah.
for like ever.
I mean,
thanks to
kinda.
like Smash Brothers and stuff.
But then hearing her talk and being all proper and all that stuff and being like telling all the warriors, I'm like, God, I want this. I want a Breath of the Wild anime. Like of the time before. So
It was
pretty
actually
cool.
really popular when Breath of the Wild stuff was first appearing before it was released, when E3 teased. It was a very popular thing because of the way Link was styled and his eye shape and all that. Everyone was drawing Breath of the Wild stuff in Ghibli style. So that would be pretty
That'd be
cool.
pretty cool.
Just
Exactly.
Would not
If
hate-
you're listening
would
to
not
this
hate that.
episode, so just I mean,
I mean, it
Just saying.
technically writes itself out, right? Like Hyrule is being destroyed by these like new technologies and stuff like that, which is a very Ghibli thing, which is like
It would fit
conservationism and stuff like that. And then like you could bring in Deku Tree and all that stuff and be like, here's the spirits and stuff like that.
Oh my god, it's like Mononoke.
And then you could have it where like maybe
Yep.
if they could
It's-
expand it and then have like Link go into like the Bokoblin market and then like have like foods and stuff.
It would be pretty
Spirited
perfect.
away.
Can they just finish the
saying.
Magic show first? Magic the Gathering show first?
It's already done. They
been waiting.
they recorded everything. They just animated.
Man.
Waiting.
Josh, any iconic or favorite moments?
not really. I mean, I think moments that stick out to me is like anytime you find a secret, the like the chime,
Oh.
like and you like you're walking by a wall and you're like, is that cracked?
What's that?
Is that cracked?
Is that
Do I have a bomb?
Cracked?
I'm gonna throw that bomb out there. Oh, that's a cave. It's a heart piece. Yeah, I'm
Surprise.
stronger.
The power.
Ultimate power. No, I mean, just anytime finding secrets, I love those moments. I think for me it was revisiting Link's Awakening with the Switch and having those graphics like be like
I gotta play
so
that now.
stunning.
The
Um,
bubbly
it was-
graphics.
yeah, I mean, it was just so much fun to play
Bubble
through
babies.
and to remember the.
My son.
Oh, there he is.
There
he
it
is.
It was just so like for
I'm
that.
so impressed with that collection.
I devoted myself with that particular one just to complete it all the way through and like get everything, and it was just so much. It was so much fun. Like it's. I like what you said, Corey, of like the seamless mixture of this adventure game with puzzles. And I love puzzles in games, like the Uncharted series, Tomb Raider, like all these different puzzles that you get within the games. Like you're like, and with
You don't
this,
get that
it's
without
like,
Zelda.
yeah. So yeah, that's, I mean, those are moments that stand out to me.
Cameron?
I loved in Twilight Princess anytime you're like doing the awoo on the mountain.
Oh,
Like with the song.
my God.
I
Yes.
love it. It's just like it's actually part of the game, but then incorporating like a little cinematic with it. It was just like,
I abhorred learning them because it was just like high note, middle note, low note. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, when do I hit the note? And I'm like, I was like, just give me the commands. I'll just press the commands.
And since I have like a music background, I'm like, I love this. It's so easy to memorize music.
Caitlin's just like, it's like the music Okami.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
A little
That makes a lot of
bit.
sense, huh?
There you
Makes a
go.
lot of sense, huh?
Poking at everyone's psychologies here, baby.
Just a little bit, you know.
Just a tad, just a touch.
Julie, do you have like a particular moment?
Oh yeah. So
If you can pick
it's-
one, a few.
yeah,
I think
well,
I have-
the most standout. It's always the same one, and it's why Link's Awakening is my favorite game.
Oh.
And again, spoilers for the ending. I highly
Yeah.
recommend that you play it yourself.
The original or the
because-
new one?
Actually, I'm going to get on the Switch now because
Either
Which one?
just play it.
Which one are you going to talk about? Is it the first one or is it the
the original.
Okay.
Original.
Actually, for me, I think just to sidetrack for a quick second, I think the remake is really good because it made me really want to play the original again.
Oh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So I
Okay.
think it's a successful remake.
Let me hear this moment.
But it's the ending of Link's Awakening. And again, this was my first Zelda game, so I didn't really have any experience of like who the characters are, what you're supposed to be doing, or anything like that. And so Link's Awakening basically, like it starts, you see Link's on a really shoddy looking raft that he probably built himself in a storm, and lightning strikes, and then he just wakes up on the beach of some island. And then the whole game, you're just exploring this island and getting to know people and going on your little random adventures and doing this trading quest that lasts the whole game, but you interact with like so many people and just so many neat little things. It's just like, oh, I have to trade the alligator for this dog food, so he'll give me the bananas so that I can give it to the monkey so that I can progress with the story. So, and it's just like this whole, you get to know like the whole place and everything. And especially I was so young, I could really attach to everything. And so at the end of the game, you find out that the like everyone, all the enemies are trying to stop you because the giant egg on the mountain where the windfish is sleeping, they don't want the windfish to wake up because the whole island's a dream. So if he wakes up, the whole island disappears. So I was just like,
Take
there's
that,
like
Nolan.
a point.
Sorry.
There's a point where like you read a tablet and it's supposed to be revealed, but I was a dumb child, so I didn't really understand. And then so I go through and play the whole game, and it took me a really long time to beat the final boss. It's really hard, especially in the. I would argue the early stages is hard because you have to throw this magic powder on him with like perfect timing, and if you run out of magic powder, that's it. You have to leave and come back, buy more powder, and come back.
Oh my God.
And you know, again, I was only like 5 or 6, so I sucked. And so then like I was like, yes, I did it, I won. And then, you know, you go up and you talk to the windfish.
And you
And then
ruined
all of a sudden,
everything.
like, and he's like, okay, like it's time for us to wake up now. And I was like, what? And then like you just see like this really dramatic music plays, and you just slowly start seeing like all these places, all these people just like fade out of existence. And so I was just like, what? And it's just so sad. And then like, you know, Link wakes up on his broken raft, you know, just floating in the middle of the ocean. And this is the part that always sticks with me. It's just he's looking up, you know, he's sitting on his broken raft and he's just kind of looking up into the sky, you know, kind of clearly reminiscing about what the hell just happened. But then you see the windfish fly by, you know, way high in the sky, and then he just kind of like smiles and like, you know what, that was kind of like a fun adventure, you know. But I was just so distraught and tearful. I was like, what do you mean everybody's gone? What do you mean?
Oh.
So, and actually, fun fact, to this day, I still cry when I beat Link's Awakening. Every time I can't not cry at the ending.
There are
And that's
Man.
when Julie had her first existential crisis.
I mean, sounds about right.
there are a few moments where like dreams really work really well in that sense. Like I had a familiar feeling to that with Kingdom Hearts 2 and the tutorial, and you find out like nothing's real, and it's just like
Yeah.
that sense where it's like, but do you hate that it's gone or that it's not going on? But it's kind of like, but it gave me so many good feels to begin with, so it's like I still love it for what it's like.
Yeah.
That's a really
You can't
Primal
be
feeling.
mad because of the experiences that it gave you, but it still hurts that it's no longer there.
Yes.
but
Yes.
Yeah.
reality is what we make it, and that's kind of like that thing too. What is how do we? I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about this, but like, Caitlin kind of had like a social growing up with it, but Julie, I kind of want to hear like how you went from not knowing much of the game to like seeing how it has grown and evolved and
To becoming the
adapted.
master that you are.
Yeah,
Yes.
we all can share our
Yes.
own experience with that.
Well, as soon as I found out it was a series, I just went on a huge spiral of just like, okay, I got to figure out how many exist. How do I get them?
Gotta
Just
catch them
like-
all.
Completely like just went down this huge rabbit hole of like, I got to know more. I got to know more. And, and then learning that like Link's Awakening was very unusual in that it's in a completely different setting. And even some aspects of the gameplay are a little bit different than usual. And really, you're not interacting with any of the normal kind of characters you'd normally meet in a Zelda game, because there's always Zelda staples are the Gorons, the Zoras, the Hylians, and the Gerudo, and you don't see any of them in Link's Awakening. So it was kind of fun going to like the norm and seeing what that was all about. But then learning that a lot of them were on like older systems that I didn't have, and by that time, weren't being sold anymore. I was in middle school. And so really it was GameCube that was my full introduction into the rest. I got my GameCube and they had the Zelda collection disc, which had Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, the NES Zelda, and the SNES Zelda Adventure of Link. And I think also a demo of Wind Waker and maybe one more thing. I can't remember. So
Link's
I didn't get to
targeting
play.
practice.
No, that's for the Wii.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so it wasn't until long after that I got to experience like the classics. And I had a lot of fun with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and I really understand why those are like the top two when you ask people what are your favorite Zelda. Most of the time it's going to be those.
Yeah.
The spiders.
You mean the
the spiders.
Skulltulas?
Yes.
Spiders.
Was it four swords on GameCube? The part of your
which
master thing? Or
There's
your collect-
two. So there's Four Swords Adventures on GameCube.
Yeah. I played
But there
that
was
one.
also
That was
a Four
so fun.
Swords for the Game Boy Advance that was paired with.
You could connect it
You could plug
to
the
the
thing.
GameCube.
Yeah. Well, so the Four Swords on the Game Boy Advance is one of the few Zeldas that I haven't played because I didn't have anybody to play it with.
Yeah.
So, but I played Link to the Past on the Game Boy Advance, Minish Cap. Like, I think at this point, the only ones that I haven't played are the ones where you have to play with other people. So, what's the Triforce Adventures one where you have to on the DS?
Oh,
what it's called.
I think that. Yeah,
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Nobody knows but
I
I'm
literally
pretty sure it's
just looked at all of the names yesterday and I can't recall.
Triforce Heroes.
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
And then Four Swords on the Game Boy, because that one you have to connect with people, whereas the Four Swords on the GameCube you can play solo.
AKA, hello, mobile market. That's where you come involved.
Yeah, mobile remake when?
Seriously,
Nintendo.
that's how
I
you
mean,
get it.
it probably won't be long.
That's how you promote like people actually playing with each other. You make it a mobile game for free.
I
Well,
mean, putting Four Swords with online play on the Switch would be.
and isn't
Sweet.
it the 35th anniversary is next year
Maybe.
For which one?
Do I look like someone who knows time?
for the Legend of Zelda? Because I remember hearing like Mario just had a 35th year anniversary, and I believe Legend of Zelda, like there was some chatter about them buying IP for 35th anniversary Legend of Zelda for next year. or this year.
All
Oh,
I gotta
gosh.
say is that Universal
Let them.
Studios
Let them do
Japan
it.
got to make some room for that Zelda life, for that Nintendo world. Just saying.
Oh
It
my
looks
God, the
pretty.
Nintendo.
Right?
Yeah, like imagine you have all the foods and Zeldas.
Well,
gonna be the first
I already
expansion.
get my fill of that.
It's true.
Oh man. Oh, with the cookbook.
Legends
Yes.
cookbook.
Yes.
Legends cookbook. Shout out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here it comes.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Legends
Hey.
cookbook.
If you want Breath of the Wild food.
That's it.
And the
That's the place to
they have
go.
dubious food in there, right?
Yes,
They
actually,
do.
and I made
Didn't
it.
you-
It's really
you made
good.
that for on my birthday, didn't you?
I did, yes.
It was great.
Yes. It was really clever. You marinate chicken in red wine so it gets that horrifying purple color, and then it has pesto on it. So the green.
Oh.
It's really tasty.
Corey just
Oh my god.
Corey just got intrigued, but also cringed.
Corey just majored in his mask.
I did. I feel sweaty. That sounds so good.
There's even a beautiful picture. I bet I could find it really fast.
Anything with
because-
pesto, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eat
Anything with
Well,
pesto,
there it
I'm gonna
is.
eat it. Okay, no.
Like my heart feels
Please,
fast.
food.
Whoa.
There it is.
Oh.
Wild.
cool.
That's so much pesto.
Corey's like, whoa, I'm having an experience right now.
I'll share this.
I
with
didn't know you
later,
could do
Corey,
that. I didn't know
if
you could
wanna
put that much
try it.
pesto on stuff.
You can.
Corey,
What?
you have to Legends cookbook, dude.
You're an
There's
adult.
a lot of
You can
There's
put
a
as
lot of
much
good
pesto as
recipes.
your heart desires.
That's
I
fact.
know.
That's big fact.
big facts,
I'm gonna
though.
make some homemade pesto and just pour it over everything.
So
Even
I-
your coffee.
I have a question. I'm just
Yes.
kind of curious because I honestly don't know. At the time of this recording, is there anything to look forward to in terms of future Zelda like games and whatnot? Like I don't know.
Hopefully,
anything.
4 swords on the Switch now. That'd be
Hopefully more
fantastic.
pesto in these
We could
games.
stream that. How cool would that be?
Legend of Pesto.
What if we could all stream 4 swords?
That okay? If pesto is not a character in a Zelda game, then I don't know. I don't know what game we're playing with Nintendo here. Like there has to be a
Wow.
character
I mean,
named Pesto.
technically, you always have the option to name
your-
your character at the start of the adventure. So
Corey's
going to
name him Pesto from now on.
I was gonna name my
Pesto
name my
the
horse.
past.
But one thing I'm kind of looking forward to, and
Don't
this is
hate
this is like a hot take, aka it's not a popular opinion because that's what a hot take is
AKA
nowadays.
an opinions.
I'm so ready.
I'm kind of interested to see what kind of gets revealed more from these Hyrule Warrior games, because the fact that they're like third-party developers, but they're also still within canon,
Yes.
which is like wild to me. It's like it's a little bit of like the risks we're starting to see with like I guess the film industry of being like your stories are not only contained here, they happened outside the screen. So it's like
Yes.
you'll learn more about these characters from a game that's not first party licensed or developed through Nintendo, which is what it's new because Zelda, and that's the thing I think with the Zelda's like kind of purity is that they never really had third party games. So I think the big
Well.
one, well, like for a while they had like I think the biggest.
Hyrule Warriors.
Well, I think
we're not. Well, I'm thinking more CDI, but we're not going to.
yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Those were they were treating it like a
Whoa.
movie for some reason. They were like, you could license, but like for the most part, like they were like every game came on Nintendo first and would only stay there, and like maybe on the mobile or on the the handheld consoles, but like there wasn't like like maybe had Smash Bros and they had like again Link's sword training whatever, and those like the. But everything other than that, everything like was all like, here's the story, here's the new story, here how it adds to blah blah, and then like now it's like, well, now something else adds to it. It's like, what do you mean? You know, like it's interesting. It's kind of like I guess I don't know, like Halo changing developers and stuff like that. You know,
Oh yeah.
or like Spider-Man going from like Treyarch to Ubisoft to who are they? Who are them now?
Who are them now?
They're good peoples though. They're the ones that made the recent one. They're like, oh, they're now doing the Spider-Man games.
Insomnia.
Insomniac, yeah, Insomniac games.
Oh,
so
yeah.
and the Call of Duty was like, hey, it's Treyarch and Infinity Ward. You know, these guys do these things, and so like now, like it's the first time Zelda's doing it, and like it's just hard to see that happen for Nintendo because Nintendo's very like, these are ours, you know. So it's wild for me.
It could be
Oh,
cool.
man.
I mean,
But to answer your question, Josh, the only thing that's known about on the schedule per se is Breath of the Wild 2, which we don't know when that's going to release, but they have shown off
Tom's already
trailers
salivating.
So
I want it to be called
Has
like
that ever- has
Hurricane
that
of the
ever-
Calm.
Has that ever
Well-
happened where it's like because they're all kind of, I mean, they're all
Independent, fairly.
sequel-ish. They're in the same
Pretty,
world.
pretty
Delicious.
independent. Pretty independent.
Delicious.
Sequel-ish.
And so, go ahead.
But Breath of the Wild, I
They're
mean, so
all
that's never been
definition.
done
Kind
where
of
a sequel to a
Loosely tied.
single game has it.
I think the closest you can get is Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Because Majora's Mask basically starts, Link is going on the next adventure because he's looking for Navi, who disappears at the end of Ocarina of Time. So that's like the closest related, and that's definitely, it's very unusual for them to use the same Link in games.
Mhm.
So that's I think the closest that they've had like a direct sequel kind of thing.
Julie, help me out here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Now,
wrong.
I've read some
You're wrong.
thing. Okay. So yes, Josh. Welcome.
No, go on.
But it's like, and so that's why I was kind of like harking back of like Skyward Sword's technically like the first of chronology because like there's like branch universe.
Yes.
And so,
yes,
like-
correct.
Ocarina of Time, if you get the bad ending or if like you don't stop the thing, then like Breath of the Wild happens. But then like if you do the thing, then Twilight Princess happens.
Yeah.
Because
it's
they're all
really
descendants of the hero.
complicated.
And
yeah.
so like all of them, like you're the hero of time. It's like, I'm a boy. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just a boy.
I'm
And
a
it's like,
boy.
but you wear the green tunic like the dude. And you're like, but I'm a boy. And so like all the,
That's
like,
the
so,
whole thing in Wind Waker. When they come of age, they have to inherit the green tunic,
Mhm.
and that's like the sign of adulthood. You know.
and then it's like, why does he have a green tunic as a kid? And then why does Twilight Princess not have it until like he buys one? So it's like those kind of things when you start seeing like, oh, these are not the same character. These are all like either different versions of him or different timelines of him. Like if you got this, and like that's the thing with like
Yeah.
Ganon in particular, like him being called Ganon Dwarf because it was like the actual spirit of Ganon that's in a Gerudo,
I was
or
gonna
was
say,
it like
isn't
it was
he
the only
always the
male
same?
Gerudo, or not Gerudo? Is it Gerudo?
Gerudo.
Gerudo.
Isn't Ganon
I've heard
always
both. I don't
the-
know what the official pronunciation is.
Oh, I've always heard Gerudo.
But it's always the same Ganon, though, right? It was always the reincarnation of the same.
He's a pig
well,
man.
Julie, tell us.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure because it gets kind of weird, but like Ganondorf is the human and Ganon is just like the
Spirit god, man.
like the constant like evil spirit. And so
Melchior.
but now with like things like Breath of the Wild and then earlier Skyward Sword, it's just kind of like, well, where is it, like where did this evil spirit come from? Is it always the same one? Has it like been changing over time? It gets a little ambiguous, and I think for the most part they try to keep it like, yeah, it's always the same villain being revived, because in Wind Waker it's the same. Wind Waker actually has a really interesting cross with Ocarina of Time, where it's like happening weirdly, not concurrently, but basically like Ocarina of Time has been buried under the sea and is like encased in this time frozen bubble. So Wind Waker Ganon is the same as Ocarina of Time Ganon. So
But he's
it's
a little
really
thicker.
cool. Yeah,
He's a little thicker.
he's pretty he you know, spent all that time getting it working on his dad bod.
Yeah. He experienced his own 2020. Ganon Daddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Oh, Tom.
But no, yeah. So that's what I kind of thought was like, because Ganon's like the pig man, and then Ganondorf was like, I'm just a dude.
Yeah, so
Oh, I'm
from-
just a dude.
well, because
just
there's always that
someone.
legend of like, you know,
Zelda?
it's always no.
Ah.
I mean, yes, but no, but like
As always, they're
where there's that whole thing where the Gerudo are always women,
Mhm.
except, you know,
He.
every once in a while there's a male born to them, you know, and then he becomes their king and then usually becomes corrupted, whether it's because of this evil spirit or if that's just the nature of some weird universal cycle.
But
I don't know.
I think based on like the creator's like intention of like, you know, adventuring in his own backyard and finding, you know, a whole world, like that's where like the independence of each game kind of lends itself, where it's like, you're just a boy and you're just
Yeah.
going to go, you know, adventure and all this
I'm
stuff.
just a boy.
But, you know, I will say it would be nice to kind of see like, I'm just a princess, and then I'm going to have my own adventure, and that'd be kind of cool.
Well, I remember when Breath of the Wild trailers were first happening and you didn't really see Link's face at first. Everyone was like, oh, it's got long hair. That's Zelda. We're going to play as Zelda.
It could be wild. I think that could be really cool. To me, I would like to do that and then like see her probably get more powerful with like her Triforce and then like.
Well, it could be happening with Breath of the Wild too, because it's implied that they're going to be adventuring together. So we'll see what happens.
Just no escort
what
missions.
The
I just-
actual Legend of Zelda.
For once. For once.
Right? They should just call it the Legend of Link just to like fuck with people.
Oh, that's true.
That is kind of an interesting aspect of this franchise of like people are like, oh yeah, I'm Zelda. No, you're not. You're Link.
You're not Zelda.
Zelda,
You're
he's
Link.
so cool. No.
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 I'll let you
Yeah.
finish.
I think I did that at least once long ago.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody has, and then you're corrected, and you're like, oh.
Well,
yeah.
it's because
Some more
he's
cheat
the
action
link.
going on.
Because
Yeah.
he's the link to the times. And Link, that's why.
Link to the past.
And it's
Link
like,
to the future.
there's always like a princess. Zelda
Corey's
scene.
like face palming like
There's so many puns in this
I
episode.
hate all this conversation.
Well, awesome.
It would be cool to get an Assassin's Creed style game where you're Zelda and as she.
Agree.
what if you just call it Assassin's Creed and then just call your character Link?
Zelda's Creed.
That's exactly
You
what
mean
I said. Yep.
the Valhalla one where you play as a female protagonist?
Well, you get to choose.
Do you?
Also be
Oh,
neither.
I've only seen female protagonists play it, so I'm like, oh, that's the way.
They started with Odyssey.
Oh.
Odyssey, you can pick between a dude or a girl.
Oh, side note, Julie is also very well versed
Huge.
in Assassin's Creed. So
Now
that's a
that
hilarious
we could do an
link that you
episode
just
on.
made.
Ah, ha, ha.
You can't see off to the side, but I have all of my statues of all of the protagonists.
Well,
That'll be
the
the
only
next
one-
time.
I would
Yeah,
say like
let's do that.
the only thing.
The only one I missed is Origins. That's the only one I
Oh,
missed.
for me, that's like the one where they started going back to the roots of what Assassin's Creed.
I
is supposed to
liked
be.
Odyssey, and I'm almost done with Valhalla.
I have my qualms with Odyssey, but this is not about Assassin's Creed. So we
Yeah.
won't-
Anyway,
That's what I was gonna say was like if we do
we'll get there, we'll
come
get
back to
there.
that. If there was a Zelda
come back.
game
Come back.
like Assassin's Creed, it's like just no eagle eye top of the mountain thing. I abhorred all that. I was like, just let me play.
specialize.
Anyway.
Pulling it back in.
Yeah.
Julie, thank
Oh
you
my
so
God, I'm so
much
excited.
for joining us on an episode. I mean, you've been on a couple of our episodes, correct? Or
You have.
right?
Just one.
Just one.
Just
Legends.
Well, now a
Quick one.
couple of
And
episodes.
Toe Jam.
Two.
And maybe we'll make this a thing more. Well, apparently, I mean,
Yeah,
we're
it
doing
sounds
an
like we get to talk
Creed
about
episode.
Assassin's Creed.
Sounds like
Yeah.
that's happening pretty
The
soon.
movie.
Yeah, I'm always happy to come and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Awesome.
The movie.
That'd be
But
fun.
thank you so much for joining us. Where would you like our audience to check you out? I know you've got Twitch, you've got some stuff going on.
Yes. So for now, Twitch is kind of hiatus because of all this family stuff going on. So not Twitch for right now. But you can find me on Twitter at Gamerfuji, GAMERFUJI. That's pretty much the only place I am right now. There's
Take your
just
time.
so much going on. So
And then come back here when we do our Assassin's Creed episode.
yeah, you can find me here at Nerd.
You could add her on our Discord.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, you can.
Yeah.
That's
If
actually
you want to
true,
see,
yes.
say like,
Come to the
hey,
Discord.
where can I see this more of these dubious foods and Korok rice? I don't know what foods they make in Breath of the Wild. Anyway.
Good guess though.
They make a lot of good
Good
That
foods.
was
in there.
cute,
They
Tom.
make
That
some
was
things.
really cute.
Yeah.
was cute.
But yeah, speaking
job.
of that Discord, everybody at home, do consider joining that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. There is a gaming channel in there. Let's continue the conversation over there. Do consider joining the Nerd On Nation, nerdon.tv/Patreon. It does allow us to grow and to be the best that we can be, to create
Do more.
bigger, better, more awesome content. And if you're new to Nerd On, welcome. Thanks for listening. Check out our website, nerdon.tv. It literally has all of the information of everything that we do, all of the links, our YouTubes, our Twitch, all that stuff.
It's like a legend.
All the links.
That's as always, wherever you listen, do please subscribe, rate and review, and share us with your friends and family. That is how the word gets out when you tell people about it.
Also makes us feel real good.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, that has been our Zelda episode. Corey's losing his mind, so you know the drill. As always, nerd on.
Nerd on.
God.
Ending broadcast.